So it's been a while since I've been able to work on my car. I've been able to do little bits and pieces, but nothing substantial. So I've added some new blow-off valves here, some Turbo Smart compact blow-off valves. We've got some new hoses and clamps because the old ones were deteriorated and broken and just in a nasty state. Taken off all of these brackets that support the inner cooler and the front bumper bar and stuff, and got rid of all the rust and gave them a new coat of paint so it's all nice and shiny. Also had a chance to polish up the inner cooler, so she's looking pretty new. As you can see under here too, I've also had a chance to start installing the liners that I've cleaned and sprayed, and they are looking much nicer. Also did the air diversion plate for the brakes and cleaned up the coilovers. So under the wheel arches looking a lot better, but of course I really need to scrub the insides of these wheel wells to really give it maximum impact. So today what I'm doing is I'll be removing the intake. It's quite a maze of pipes on the inside here. It's actually a lot to take off, and the sequence doesn't look that simple to actually do. And what I can see is there's a lot of old pipes, cracked, deteriorated, that need replacing. But mainly I also want some nice induction sound from this engine. So what I've got is some nice pipes here. So let's get started. So this Greddy complete suction kit comes with most of the pipes to replace on my R34. If we look over here, it'll turn this rubber hose here into a hard metal pipe. We have a new connecting hose from there to here. You'll have a new connecting hose from here to there. Most of these pipes will be changed as well. However, it actually keeps this pipe and the one, the little snorkel that connects to the back turbo, which I'm a little bit surprised. I thought it changed every single pipe on the intake system, but clearly this one was a little bit too hard to make for them. So I might still take this one off and give it a polish, so that at least from what you can see up here, all the pipes are shiny, which is what I want from the engine bay. But we'll see how hard it is to remove all these casting marks. I don't think it should be too hard, bench grinder, but we'll see how we go. So after all of these pipes go on, this side should look a lot cleaner. It should also give me some access to check the conditions of all the lines going to the turbos, the heat shield, all the rest of that too, and give me some idea of what I should do next. So you can see with these pipes, these rubber pipes, they're just starting to crack and starting to show a little bit of deterioration. The clamps that I took off from under here were an absolute pain to take off because they were rusty and jammed up, being on for so long. Alright, so first things first, we've got to take this part of the airbox off, that, and I believe this pipe here comes off next. Let's get started. Alright, so let's take this snorkel off first. Just need to pop these clips. And this bit comes off. All this foam is all worn away. It's got bits of plastic, bits of foam everywhere. Next, we'll take off the airbox. It's got 3 clips here, 2 screws, and this bit should peel off and take the filter element off. It's a 10mm socket. This does have an aftermarket BMC air filter element. It's not a bad element, but I want to eliminate all of this airbox to clean it up, make it look shiny, and give me that nice induction noise that I'm so fond of when I was young and with my S14. So next, we can unplug this. Pop it. Comes out. I'm going to undo these air clamp, this clamp here, and undo the airflow. One little thing I'd like to add before I continue is that I'm actually doing this for the first time. Can't really find a lot of literature on how to do this, so doing a little bit of trial and error. So bear with me. I'm trying to figure out the best, neatest way of disassembling this. But from what I can see, these 4 screws from the back of the airflow meter, that take out the airflow meter. There's a 10mm bolt there that we can take out, give us a little bit of slack here on this airbox. Then we can figure out how to attack this part of the pipework to access the bolt in the back of the bottom airflow meter. So we can take that out and take this section out, and that should open up this area quite significantly. There is the airflow meter. She does look pretty dirty on the inside. Might need to give her a good clean. Alright, one thing I'd like to show is there you can see the plug, the second airflow meter, which is there. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug that, but you can see right below it there's a hose clamp. And that will undo the airflow meter from the hose clamp. So if we take that off and we take out that bottom screw holding the airbox in, this section should come out. Take this bolt out first and we'll do the airflow meter side of things. Much easier to have the front bumper bar off, give it easier access to everything. We take out that bolt. There it is. Doesn't look like it's been taken off for a long time. It's quite dirty. Engine bay's a little bit dirty, but that's okay. Alright. step, now we've got access to all of this piping, so we can take this whole tube off in one hit. So with the airbox out, you can see a lot more about how the pipes work in this car. You can see here we've got the recirc tube, so that comes from the bypass valves all the way through the plastic pipe that goes behind the intercooler, here, up, into here, goes into this Y piece that goes into each of the intakes. What a mess. So unfortunately I'm keeping the airflow meters for the time being, so to keep the engine happy and not backfiring all the time, I've got to have some sort of recirc coming back in, so that during getting off the throttle I'm not overfueling the engine and getting pops and bangs. So maybe in the future, if I upgrade the ECU to be map based instead of airflow meter based, then I can get rid of all of this, like lots of complicated pipe work there. Love to get rid of. So next, we need to get rid of this entire pipe right there, and we will need to disconnect a few of these hoses because the Greddy intake kit replaces all of that, replaces this pipe here, and changes the orientation of this area here for clearance for some of the pipe work. One thing I would like to add about my airbox, I did mention that mine had 3 clips, 2 here and 1 at the front here. There is actually another one at the bottom here, but mine's broken off. So there are 4 clips that you need to unclip before this section of the airbox will come off. So next I've undone the hose clamps, taken out these 2 bolts for this turbocharger outlet. I haven't done the back one yet because I discovered that over here you take the nut off and the studs stay in the turbo. Somehow on that side it is a nut and bolt configuration, so the nuts are actually on the bottom. So when I undid one of the bolts, the nut dropped off. So it's going to be a bit of a pain to get that back on, but I need to take all of this off first. So let's see if doing it this way is a bit easier. And yes, it is. Once you undo all the hose clamps, you can wiggle this out in one large section. And now I'm ready to pull this pipe out. That's the old pipe. And all of this is going to be replaced with some shiny pipes. See, this has been off a couple of times, all the damage to the cam covers, which I need to fix up. Don't forget the old gasket. So next I'm going to take off this recirc pipe first, because it looks like if I take that off I have better access to these 2 screws that hold this intake snorkel on. And then you'll see if I remove this piece by doing that clamp and this piece should come off. That should give me access to the hose clamp that's holding this part in over there. Unfortunately the head of it's in the back there and not really much access from up here to get to it. So let's try that out. That's the fun of working on these old cars. A lot of things actually need replacing compared to buying a brand new car and tinkering with that. Feels like a little bit of a waste replacing parts that don't really need to be replaced. I'm going to need to get a screwdriver in here, break the seal, so these things pop out. Alright, so what I found a bit easier to do was actually, instead of just taking this pipe off, it's easier to, because you can get some bit of leverage on this pipe to crack all the seals, well, not seals, but because these tubes have been on this pipe for so long, they're bloody welded shut. So to remove this bit, got a bolt here, take off, back off the hose clamps. With a bit of a screwdriver, just work your way around, try not to scratch the pipe too much, and you should be able to just pop this section off and the pipe comes off. Fortunately with this kit I'll still be reusing this, but I'll give this a bit of clean up. Means that, you know, that I'll run under, this hose should come off. Being stubborn. So to get an Allen key into these two, because for some reason these are socket screws, got to take this bit of hose off while I'm doing that clamp, then you should be able to get a tool without rubbing top of this hose to remove this snorkel. And when you undo it, that bit of hose comes off. One doesn't look too bad. This one looks really bad on the inside. I'll show you guys later. I'll take out those socket screws. All I've got is an Allen key. They are pretty tight and access isn't the best. For example, to get to this one, you've got to go through here and get to this one. So if you had a ball nose, probably help getting this weird angle to clear this pipe. But I've got enough. Done, so that's all will now come off. So this back section is a little bit more fiddly than I expected. That hose clamp right there for the vacuum tube, someone's put it on in an angle which I can't get access to, so it's probably best if I just take it bit by bit off. So I take that little extension hose and that hose clamp right there, center of the camera. Take off this crankcase ventilation tube that comes from the top of the cam cover through here into this intake pipe. I'll take that off, and if I can try and get the hose clamp that secures this at the bottom of the turbo from this side, I might be able to take this off bit by bit. Let's give that a go. Finally got the pipe off. Nightmare to get off. The hose clamp that was in this little vacuum nipple here, the spring clamp was facing this way, couldn't get a tool on it. All these hoses have been on for so long, it's so tight. This recirc little metal pipe here wouldn't come out, but finally got it out. And as you can see, inside this pipe is not in very good condition, and there is a lot of blow-by in this pipe, because that's where all the crankcase ventilation goes into. It doesn't go into the first turbo, it only goes into the second turbo. So the pipes on the inside, very oily. My leak down test that I did, that moderate leak that the gauge was showing, could be because the piston rings are not the greatest at the moment because of the mileage, and I'm getting a little bit more blow-by, and more of it is blowing into the turbo. So interesting find. So I'm going to disassemble this, give it a good clean, and take apart the bits that I need to reuse for the intake. Alright, now I've got the back tube off. Look at got a little bit of oil on the intake there, intake snorkel of the rear turbo. Lots of dust and dirt around here. Yeah. Heat shields are a little bit rusty. All the hose clamps around here. All these spring clamps are rusty. That one was a real pain to get out. Put that down there. This one was a real pain to get out because someone's spun it the wrong way. This hose is brittle now. So all of these hoses need to be replaced. All the lines to the wastegate actuators need to be replaced. Look how crispy that hose is. Yep, what do you expect for a car that's got a lot of Ks and a lot of years? That should still goes alright. So I'm probably going to take off these, the outlet and the inlet to the turbo, just so I can inspect the turbocharger. The front one feels okay, but probably should replace it. This rear one, questionable considering all of this oil in it. So take that off and see how she looks. So I've tried to take the inlet to the second turbo off and the outlet, and let's just say it's not that easy to do on the car. Accessing the top socket head screw is fine. The bottom one, however, I just can't get to it. If anyone knows how to get that one off while being on the car, by all means let me know. But yeah, I've tried all different combinations of Allen keys, heads, everything, and it's just can't access it. And the outlet, I can get to this bolt over here. The nut falls out and I can get to it, but the other side, yeah, I can't get to that at all. There's just way too much stuff in the way to access it. You can't even see it from here, but it's almost a turbo out job. So I'm just gonna have to try and clean it up the best as I can from out here. I am a little bit concerned about the oil that is on the inlet of that second turbo. I reckon if I clean it up and potentially look into an oil catch can, maybe that'll help. Maybe this engine just needs freshen up. So intake's almost ready to go in. I've got to take off the pipe on this side, which is 2 hose clamps, and she'll pop off, and then I can get the intake on. Can't wait. Here are all the other pipes, all the old stuff. Some of this stuff needs to go back on, but essentially a lot of it can stay off. Clean everything up the best as I can before it goes back on. So hopefully I can get to this pretty soon, so that I can get the car back on the ground and at least take it for a drive. Till then, peace. So I thought I'd give taking this hose a go to complete the whole removing of the intake, and it was a little bit harder to take off than I initially thought. Yes, 2 hose clamps, but there's a hard metal pipe, a joiner that sticks through that hole there, and to get to the bolts to remove that, because there's just not enough space to get this off this barb here and the other barb down there when that joiner sticks through. It's just not enough space to peel it off. I found it really difficult, and I didn't want to do too much damage. The problem is that this boost line here that sticks through into a nipple that feeds the blow-off valves, that was very difficult to take off. It was pretty much welded on, but also the screws that poke through, because the nipple sticks out on the, let's see there, the top hole, and the bottom hole is actually where the screw, so the nipple's out of the top hole and the bolt's in the bottom hole. To access that hole, that bolt, is really hard. I used a long socket, a deep small 1/4 inch socket, 1/4 inch drive socket, to get to that. But these are the types of screw that it is. Now, mine was that way, so that way outside the car, that way inside the engine bay. So when you started undoing this would rotate, and quite difficult to get this off. So I had to somehow try and grab this without marking it. Now I don't know whether it was actually supposed to be that way, so it might have been a bit easier to take off, or it was actually that way. So yeah, it's one of those things that you just gotta bear in mind. Now that I've got a little bit more access now, I might actually change that vacuum tube to silicone as well with some new hose clamps. So to take this off, you actually need to take the oil valves off and then take this pipe that sticks through in. As you can see, there's the nipple that goes through the wall, and here are the vacuum lines that feed the blow valve. So there you have it. There's the vacuum tube. So hopefully that's a little bit clearer on how to remove that. It is quite stiff.